Yaha.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha.
Nuh-uh. What in the black abyss are you two on about?
I was just telling Stone that it would be a great idea to take the King Arthur legend and mix things up. We can make Morgan and Guinevere half-sisters that can magically swap bodies. Merlin can be an alien, and Lancelot can be crushing on Arthur. It would be totally nuts.
Exactly. It would be too nuts, and it would take away from the core story. The legend's popularity comes from how it sticks to its literary landmarks. There's plenty of other material to explore, like expanding on the characters of Galahad or Percival.
Ugh, so boring. Let's just freeball it.
First off, not entirely sure you know what that means. Secondly, we should preserve the classics. Geez, you guys are 14 billion years old. Haven't you outgrown this sibling-level squabbling?
Nope. My idea's great.
No, it's not.
Yaha.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha.
Nuh-uh.
Just roll the
Yaha.
intro.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha.
Nuh-uh. Hail and welcome to my channel. I am Terron, the Dark Beast, and this is the Theory of Spirit. In this series of episodes, I explain the pantheon of god archetypes that I made to organize the major recurring themes of mythology in a way that I hope can help provide both ancient and modern wisdom. Our journey continues as further down the rabbit hole we go in exploring this archetype pantheon. So far, we've covered the 2 source gods, the 4 cardinal gods, and the forms of the ether god each set made. Now it's time for the 6 reality gods and their form of ether. One main thing to take note is how their representation in the main emblem differs from the rest. The reality gods don't have forms of their own, as shown by not being colored in like the others. Instead, they are expressed through other gods in the form of variations. More on that a little later. This set of primordials make up the framework that allows existence and our reality. Once before, I made the analogy of how if each god was represented by a playing card, ether would be the deck itself. So in this case, the reality gods would be like the rulebook, or even the table you play on. These 6 gods are time and space, pattern and structure, as well as energy and matter. In this episode, we will tackle time and space, starting with the time god.
So, are we going to use your example?
Nah, I think yours is easier to follow and relate to.
Alright, thank you. So, as mentioned before, the reality gods are expressed as variations of other gods.
Gods are symbols, and as such are meant to convey meanings and information. So, by altering the baseline, a god can explore new or more specific facets of their symbology.
For a mental example, I'd like you all to imagine a god of art. Male or female god doesn't matter. It can be any and all kinds of art, so long as personal artistic expression is the focus. Take a moment to feel what this god means to you, and what lessons it could teach in a literary manner.
Now, let's add the variant of the time primordial and split the god in 3. One as a child, the next as an adult, and the last as an elder. Think about how the variants expand on the meaning of the original god.
They may all be the same type of god, but their symbology changes drastically. What do you think? How do you see the child god of art?
To me, they represent the wonder, imagination, and limitless potential of a youthful mind. Raw and unrefined creative power, innocence, and a carefree nature. Like, hey, let's draw a giraffe with a dolphin tail and rainbow-colored spots because why not?
Cute. And I can see this energy change as an adult, having much more experience with the world, yet it causes all the more uncertainty. Now this god represents the search for personal identity through art, less free form and more focus on improving skill and achieving recognition, perhaps even trying to regain the magic of the child artist now lost.
Yeah, and after that journey, the elder artist emerges, wise and experienced, with razor-sharp skill, lessons learned from blood, sweat, and tears, ready to be passed on to the next generation.
Yes, and the art has become less of work, more than a hobby. Now an intimate dance between old partners. The thought of it is art in and of itself.
If you couldn't tell already, we can get pretty passionate about topics.
In mythology, there are a lot of symbolic representations of the stages of aging. But the most appropriate example I find is the triple goddess of the maiden, mother, and crone. This is a very popular goddess archetype used in paganism and is represented by the 3 stages of the waxing and waning moon.
Moon? Aw, what the fuck?
Yes, the moon. It's often associated with the divine feminine in many mythologies and magic practices. However, this gender association is not universal, and for this example, we are focusing on the element of time, which can apply to all types of gods.
Yeah, sure, maybe you just want to go hang out with all the moon gods.
Oh, shush.
While the reality gods don't have personal forms, they do have symbols. Here is the one for the time god. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to go into detail, and will have to explain this in a later video. But until then, maybe it will be fun if you all try to analyze the symbol and make guesses on the inspirations. And so next up, we have the space god,
where the time variation was a single state of being in each moment. The space variation generates multiple states of being based on relativity. For instance, the moon is a satellite to the Earth, where the Earth seems to be a fixed point of reference. But relative to the Sun, the Earth is a satellite and the Sun is the fixed point, making the Earth simultaneously a fixed point and a moving satellite, depending on perspective. This applies to gods as social relativity, or more specifically, relation. It's easy to see how a single god can be a parent, sibling, and offspring all at once. But the important part is how this relation affects the symbolic meaning between gods.
A brother and sister will interact differently than a mother and son. You could be dealing with a few set types of gods, but change the relations around, and you can get very different stories, myths, and moral lessons.
These relations don't have to be familial. There can be student-teacher relations, or there could be aspects of a neighbor versus a stranger, a friend versus an opponent, or maybe even both. Or maybe a secret forbidden love between 2 people from warring nations, forced to keep their feelings... Oh goodness.
Okay, cool it with the fangirl stuff until after the show. Another thing, don't you feel like that's a lot of relationship types to keep track of? After all, our job is to simplify things.
Right. The best way to look at it is relations can be boiled down to above, beside, and below. Leaders, teachers, and parents are above relations. Beside relations are siblings, friends, and partners. And below relations are students, servants, and children.
And of course, there are more types, but these are the 3 basic groups. Also, most every pantheon has a type of family tree to give a dynamic narrative, but we here at the Theory of Spirit have sworn off ever getting into full detail on said family trees, due to them usually being really confusing.
Just remember that mythologies evolve over time and can have many different cultural sources. Ultimately, most gods aren't actually people. They're just symbolic embodiments of natural phenomenon, and they don't follow normal rules.
Heck, Zeus gave birth to a fully grown, fully armored Athena by splitting open his forehead. Heimdall from Norse myth was born from 9 mothers at once. And don't even get me started on Japanese kami.
On that note of Japanese culture, and of this general topic, I recommend looking into Japanese honorifics. Terms like chan, kun, san, or senpai are all about recognizing social relations and positioning. And research will be a nice cultural venture.
What did I say about the fangirl stuff? Weeb.
Wrapping things up, we have the symbol for the space god. Again, not enough time in this video to go into full detail, but I will say a good starting point to investigate these symbols would be the alchemical elements. And that's it for this video. Next time, we will go over the reality gods of pattern and structure. Until then, I encourage you all to keep an eye out for age or relation-based archetypes in the shows you watch or books you read, and think about how they add to the characters and the story. It'll make for a nice analytical exercise. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed. Here's my Patreon if you'd like to make a donation to my channel. Any support will be deeply appreciated. And with no more ado, we here bid you hail and farewell. See you next time.